what it means to cast aside that honor in the frenzy of new love. The only difficult part was finding a suitable man with whom she could play this clever game. It couldn't be anyone Frida knew already, not even one of the servants. He would probably have stared at her wide-eyed and gone away, and above all, he wouldn't have taken it seriously. However much he might talk, it would have been impossible to spread the story that Frida had been attacked by him, hadn't been able to defend herself, and in a crazy moment had fallen for him. And if it was to be someone very insignificant, he had to be someone of whom it could credibly be believed that in spite of his blunt, inelegant manners, he longed only for Frida, of all people, and had no greater desire than, for heaven's sake, to marry her. But if it was to be a low, vulgar man, if possible, even lower, much lower than a servant, he should be someone who wouldn't have every other girl mocking her, someone by whom another girl, capable of good judgment, might perhaps be attractive. But where would you find a man like that? Another girl might have sought him in vain for a lifetime. But Frida's luck brings the land surveyor to her in the bar. Perhaps on the very evening when the idea first comes into her mind. The land surveyor. Yes. What was Kay thinking of? What strange ideas did he have in his head? Did he want to achieve something in particular? A good appointment? A distinction? Did he want something of that kind? Well, then he should have gone about it differently from the start. He is nothing. It is pitiful to see his position. He is a land surveyor. Well, perhaps that is something. He has trained at something. But if there's nothing you can do with that training, then it means nothing. And he was making claims without anything at all to support them, not making them straight out. But you noticed that he was making claims of some kind, and that was provocative. Does he know that even a chambermaid is losing face if she talks to him for any length of time? And with all these special claims, he falls into the most obvious trap on the first evening. Isn't he ashamed of himself? What did he see in Frida? He could admit it now. Could that thin, sallow creature really have appealed to him? Oh no. He didn't even look at her. She just told him that she was Clam's lover. That was interesting news to him, and he was lost. But now he had to move out. Now, of course, there was no job for her at the Castle Inn. Peppy saw her the morning before she moved out. The staff had gathered. Everyone was curious to see the sight. And her power was still so great, they felt sorry for her. All of them. even her enemies were sorry for her. So well did her calculations work out at first. It seemed unthinkable to everyone that she'd thrown herself away on a man like that. What a blow of fate. The little kitchen maids, who of course admire any barmaid, were inconsolable. Even Peppy was moved. Not even she could entirely arm herself against pity, although her attention was really elsewhere. She noticed how little sadness Frida actually showed. After all, it was fundamentally a terrible misfortune that had befallen her, and she acted as if she were very unhappy. But that game wasn't enough to deceive Peppy. So, what kept her going? The joy of her new love, perhaps? That idea could be dismissed. What was it then? What gave her the strength to be as coolly friendly as always, even to Peppy, who was already regarded as her successor? At the time, Peppy didn't have the leisure to think about it. She had thought too much to do with preparing to take up her new post. She ought really to be beginning work within a few hours, and she didn't have a smart hairstyle yet, or an elegant dress, or fine underwear, or a good pair of shoes. All those things had to be found within a few hours. And if she couldn't equip herself properly, it would be better not to accept the post at all, for she'd be sure to lose it again in the first half an hour. Well, she partly succeeded in her aims. She had a special talent for hairdressing. Once the landlady had even summoned her to do her hair. The fact is that she has a very light hand and can arrange her own wealth of hair just as she likes. There was help at hand over the dress, too. Her colleagues were still friendly with her, for it was a kind of honor to them, too, if a girl from their group was promoted to barmaid. And Peppy could have gained them many advantages later, once she had real power. One of the girls had had a length of expensive dress material. It was her great treasure. She had often got the others to admire it, probably dreamed of using it for herself in some very fine way one day. And now that Peppy needed it, she gave it up. It was so kind of her. And the two other girls were happy to help her with the sewing. They couldn't have worked harder if they'd been making the dress for themselves. It was actually very cheerful and pleasant work. They all sat on their beds, one above the other, sewing and singing, and handed the finished pieces and the trimmings up and down to each other. When Peppy thinks of that, her heart is all the heavier to know that it was all in vain, and she would return to her friends, the chambermaids, empty-handed. What a misfortune, and brought about with such thoughtlessness. Above all, by Kay. How glad they had been about that dress at the time. It seemed the guarantee of success. And when room was found for yet another ribbon, later the last doubts disappeared. And isn't the dress really lovely? It is creased and a little stained now. Peppy didn't have a spare dress. She had to wear this one day and night. But you can still see how beautiful it is. Not even those dreadful sisters of Barnabas could come up with a better one. And then you can take it in or let it out again as you like, above and below. It may be only a dress, but it's an advantage that it can be so easily altered. And that was really her own idea. Sewing isn't difficult for her. Peppy isn't boasting of that. And anything will suit a healthy young girl. It was much harder to get underwear and good boots. And here the trouble really began. Once again, her friends helped as well as they could, but there wasn't much they could do. They came up with only coarse, mended underwear, and instead of ankle boots with high heels, she had to wear slippers that you would rather hide than show. People comforted Peppy by saying that Frida wasn't very well dressed herself, and sometimes she went around looking such a sloven that the guests would rather be served by the lads from the cellar than the barmaid. Those were the facts of the matter, but Frida could get away with it because she was in favor and highly regarded. If a lady happens to go out looking dirty and carelessly dressed for once, she is all the more enticing. But a beginner like Peppy? And anyway, Frida couldn't dress well. She had no taste at all. If someone has a sallow skin, she can't do much about that. But she doesn't have to wear a low-cut cream blouse against it, like Frida, so that your eyes watered from looking at all that yellow.